Hello, everyone. Putin and Trump are going to meet on the 15th of August, which, by the way, is a very important festival, religious festival here in Europe, because it is the day of the Virgin Mother, and so it's really the celebration of the goddess energy. Interestingly enough, and the space-time moment, and also the place, the meeting place, is quite relevant in many respects. It's kind of metaphorical. Let's take a look at a picture that I found as I was preparing for this video, and this is what I found. Here's the author. I haven't known him, but it's quite revealing that Putin and Trump are sitting and drinking and negotiating within a hütte in Alaska, and of course the whole European Union's prominent leaders, and of course Starmer are there. Donald, let us in, please. And of course they are not let in, not even Zelensky, although I'm recording this on Wednesday, and I just heard on the news that Trump is going to talk to the leaders of the European Union, who are all of them cretins, idiots, dishonest, stupid idiots. And of course, Zelensky as well, who is trying to save his country. And today's piece of news is also that the Russians made a big victory somewhere in the Donbass. And the problem is that the European Union is willing to put an immense amount of money and weapons into this project, because they want to drag the war out until 2029, something like that, and because that is the turning point. And they want to push us into this European Union, like the US, the United States, instead of just a union. So it's like they want a federal government, and not just not just individual countries. They don't want nation states. They want this whole conglomerate to become a union in every sense. And of course, the nation states don't want it. So that's the essence, the core. And they tried a couple of other weapons, a couple of other steps. First, the big crisis, the economic crisis in 2008, 2010, then the migrant crisis in 2015, then of course COVID was another step. There they already managed to have this joint vaccine purchase, which it was totally dishonest. Ursula von der Leyen did not have the right to do it, and she did it writing text messages, which is ridiculous. So the whole thing is totally dishonest and totally against the people in Europe. And now, of course, with the financing of the Ukrainian war, with the biggest lie in recent history, that Ukraine is fighting for Europe. No, he's not fighting for Europe. He's fighting for himself, of course. And they are harping about just and long-term peace, which is ridiculous. If you can show me one single peace agreement in the last 10,000 years, which was justful and rightful, then I will salute you, because a peace treaty is never ever just. There's always the winner and the loser, so it can't be just. It's just a non-existent thing. But of course, they are talking. They're using language which has got nothing to do with common sense, and also with the human experience, unfortunately. So I gave the title to this video, "Breaking Point or Turning Point," because the chart is quite revealing, especially the transcendental celestial objects, which we are going to take a look at. So they are meeting on the August 15th, and this is indicating a shift in closeout netting discussions, because the global balance of power is shifting, because we are moving into a multipolar existence. It's no longer the singular United States who is the leader of the world, and who is also trying to occupy the whole world. Actually, there are three nation states: the United States, Russia, and China, who are kind of competing against each other. This is a three-body problem. And if you know what it is, it's quite revealing in cosmology, because when you have three bodies locked in orbital resonance, no one can tell what is going to happen. It's very interesting. And this is what we have from a political viewpoint. So in a sense, there's a new Jalta agreement that is going to form, and it totally disregards Europe, and this is the key. And there's this bonmot by an unknown author: if you don't sit at the table, you are probably on the menu. And this is exactly what's happening. Europe is going to become a non-existent, uh, non-existent force in the world politics, to be dissected, to be robbed blind, to be exploited. That is what's going to happen to the glorious Europe. And what can I say? It's not very nice. I'm part of Europe. I'm not very happy about it, but I can see the signs. So this is the noon chart. So this is a symbolic chart for Juneau, Alaska, which is the capital of Alaska. And of course, we don't know where exactly the meeting is going to take place, probably at a military base of the United States. They're not going to disclose the place. Probably they're not going to disclose the meeting time. So this is just a symbolic chart, but it's quite revealing in itself. First of all, you have a Libra rising. Yes, negotiations, diplomacy. You also have a Libra Mars, again, reinforcing the idea of diplomacy. But Mars is conjunct, at all day conjunct, dark moon Lilith, which is the curse. And this is exactly what's happening. If you look at what the other world leaders are harping about, especially Europe, that you can't leave us out. You have to. We have to be there. Ukraine has to be there. You can't negotiate above its head. Yes, you can. This is exactly what's happening. What has been happening throughout the last 100 years. If you look at any of the treaties, any of the wars, it has always been like that. The stronger person, the stronger nation, the stronger military factor occupied the weaker one. That's it. And at the moment, Ukraine is losing big time. And the problem is not just because it's losing because it doesn't have enough weapons, because Europe can't provide weapons fast enough. It's not because it doesn't have the money, because Europe is providing the money. It's because it's losing blood. Now they are trying to draft the 18-year-olds. So Ukraine is effectively killing its future, and that's the problem. And if you are also harping about, but it has to be just, and it has to be the rule-based world order, this is bullshit. I'm sorry to say that, because first of all, you never had a treaty that was on equal terms ever in recent history and in old history as well. It's never just, but the problem is, if you keep on doing it, you lose the last drop of blood of a nation, and that is what's happening. So that is why it must end, to my mind, at least. And that is what the Mars Dark Moon Lilith conjunction symbolizes in Libra: negotiations instead of fight, even if you curse me what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing. Mercury is on the midheaven. Again, this is a noon chart, so symbolic, but symbolically, it really gives you the power energy of negotiations. The Chiron Aries conjunction is on the descendant, symbolizing the fact that this is a war. Chiron is the karmic wounds in Aries. It's linked to blood and fighting and aggression and violence and all kinds of war energy. And Aries is drastically ordered outward circumstances. This conjunction is this year and next year's most important karmic astrological feature. The other one is the Uranus-Sedna conjunction. Uranus is change, chaos, anarchy, and freedom urges. And Sedna describes creation through dissection. And they are talking about dissecting Ukraine. So that's exactly what's happening. We have a Taurus moon, which is brilliant because it shows that a businessman and a Tsar are negotiating and business is on the table, I don't think that it's going to be on Ukraine mode. This is the rearrangement of redistribution of world power. That is what is going to be on the table. That is why Europe can't be at the table, and that is why we are completely being disregarded, unfortunately. But that's it. So the Taurus moon is very revealing of the whole space-time moment. The Neptune Saturn conjunction, this year's most important astrological conjunction, and it's going to be next year's as well. Whenever you see a Neptune Saturn conjunction, it's every 40 something years. It is always about what you create on the physical level, how you can drown a dream, Neptune, to the earth plane, Saturn, how you can realize a dream. Okay, and this is why we call it the architect aspect. So what are we creating? In Aries, we are creating war, unfortunately, and that is what's happening. And another conjunction, the Juno-Vesta conjunction, is quite interesting as well, because Vesta is the focusing principle, and Juno is the first lady, and also in mundane charts, it is covenants and pacts and promises and liaisons. So we are focusing on new liaisons. That is the space-time moment. But again, this is a noon chart. So if you give the moon a little bit bigger, greater orb than normal, and you say that maybe they start at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, that is 1.5 degrees earlier, or they start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that is 1.5 degrees later. So you can play with the orbs. For another, there's a 4 to 6 hour window around noon, 3-4 hours either side, 2-3 hours for sure, where these placements are valid. And there is and this is another question. As I was listening and I was taking notes, I was very interested in why Alaska was selected. And of course, one reason is because it's very close to Russia. And as you know, that the International War Tribunal once Putin's head, because they consider him a war criminal. By the way, every freaking leader of the West is also a war criminal, if you consider this. So that's it. It's just ridiculous. The whole thing is completely biased and completely ideology oriented, and it's stupid. But anyhow, so most of the people, most of the really wise people say that Putin doesn't dare to fly across the Western country or anywhere near it because he's afraid that he's going to be incarcerated. Could be, I don't know. But look where Alaska is. It is at the international dateline. Right here, this is the international dateline. This is 180 degrees from Greenwich, and this is where the date jumps. So actually, Friday in Alaska is Saturday in Russia. Think about it. So it's a full day later, so to speak. So there's this breaking point, really. So there's this again, it shows that it is at the borderline. It's very symbolic that Alaska used to be Russian. It was sold by the Tsar in the 19th century to the United States. At that point, the newspapers were up in arms that we bought a refrigerator. That's what Alaska was called. And actually, I've never been there, but I saw pictures and I read the descriptions about it. It's a beautiful place. It has a beautiful flora and fauna and very interesting geological formation. So it's quite beautiful. Everyone says so. And it is at the international date line. So it is really a dividing energy. It's a symbolic dividing energy, very revealing. And here's the complex planetary picture featuring a crown, a finger of fate, and a cardinal water engine. I was a bit overworked and I really had very little time to put this together. I apologize. Anyhow, so here's the crown. The crown is made up by a mystic rectangle and a harmonic triangle on top. And the crown always has the crown jewel, which in this case is Venus, because Venus is in Cancer and the moon is in Taurus. They are in mutual reception, not just in a sextile, which is beautiful. The two money planets are in mutual reception and in a sextile. So yes, there is going to be a lot of money issues, as monetary issues during the day. And there's the nodes, of course, and the moon is highlighting the Juno-Vesta conjunction, focusing on new alliances, new pacts, new agreements. So that is the crown, and the crown jewel is Venus. Again, money and harmony and well-being and peace. In order to make money, in order to have well-being and harmony, you need peace. Believe me. Also, there's a finger of fate with the South Node, Juno Vesta, at the apex of which is Ceres in Aries. Ceres is the nurturing principle. It's also your homeland, your nation, your eating habits, all kinds of food issues, and that's at the apex. And then there's a cardinal water trine, cardinal square between Venus and Ceres, and the trine is between Venus and Vesta Juno. So focusing on a new negotiation about everything that is harmony and also money. So that is the space-time moment. And here are the transcendental celestial objects. They are color-coded. If you're here for the first time or you haven't been here for quite a while, it's probably wise for me to mention that magenta or purple or lilac are the asteroids, which are the personal karmic levels. Blue ones are TNOs, SDOs. In short, they are centaurs. They are objects beyond Neptune, so in the Kuiper belt. And red ones are fixed stars, which are not part of the solar system. They are part of the universe, and they are higher dimensional world where we can actually learn new things and can put things into order. So this is how it looks like in karmic astrology. On the moon, you have Victoria, Victory, and Albion. And Albion is a fascinating TNO. I'm going to show it to you in a minute. On Venus, you have Aesculapia, the caves where Asclepius was healing. Valhalla, where the sail where the northern gods were meeting. So it's a meeting place, quite revealing. And Pompeii, complete destruction. We have another complete destruction on Juno Vesta, Nagasaki. So there's destruction potential as well in this particular space-time moment. And Vosat, which is Delta Gemini, which we are going to look at it in a minute. On the North Node, we have Zeus, the main chief god. Yes, chief gods are meeting. And Plotinus, the philosopher. On the South Node, we have Archimedes and Odin. So the philosopher, again, the philosopher and the Heureka moment inventor, and Odin, one of the chief gods of Valhalla, and Aphidas, which is a very nasty centaur. Again, we are going to look at it in a minute. And on Juno Vesta, you have Nyx, night, Metis, wisdom, Icarus, hubris, but I do what I want and I don't care about the circumstances and the outcome, and Nagasaki, complete destruction, and Zuben el Shamali, which is the beta star of Libra. Here's Albion. This is a TNO with the orbital period of 290 years. This was the first TNO, actually, Kuiper belt object. It was named QB10, Kuiper belt 1, and was called QB10 for quite a while. It was discovered in 1992 and then only named in the 2020s sometimes. It's quite late, at least 20 years later, probably more, almost 30 years later. And in mythology, in Greek mythology, he is the namer of the British Isles. And he was the son of Poseidon, who was fighting with Hercules, but then Hercules kills him. And also in William Blake's mythology, this is a William Blake painting by William Blake on Albion, how he looked like. He's an Alan Cadman sort of figure who is cutting himself into four to create the four Zoe of the four aspects of mankind. So this is also creation through dissection, but it is voluntary. And again, they are talking about dissecting Ukraine. By the way, if you are fighting for Ukraine and if you think that it is just and whatever, half the population is Russian, half the population never spoke the language, Ukrainian language. They are just trying to implement it to the people. You are not even allowed to speak anything else, even in the streets, even in personal discourse. So they are drastically forcing this Ukrainian national feeling, in ingesting it into the people. And yes, they are fighting very bravely. I would say that they are treating my fellow countrymen Hungarians horribly, just like Russians, which is simply unacceptable to us Hungarians. And at the same time, the name Ukraine means at the border, and it has been always a borderland for Russia. So nothing really changes if you think about it. Okay, karmic astrological delineation is a swift transition at the birth of a new era. And quite interestingly, Albion was prominent at the outset of the war as well, and at turning points of the war. So that is now again, and again, Albion is on the moon. So here is, sorry, I went too far. Here is Albion, Victorian Albion. And the motto for it is the new is starting from the old. So that's the karmic astrological meaning. And here's Alphidas. And the object type is centaur, so he is a proper centaur. So you can find his story in Ovid's Metamorphoses. And the orbital period is a mere 76 years. So it's quite within one human lifespan. And its mythology is, of course, again linked to Ovid, according to which he was invited to the wedding of Pirithous, where he gets drunk and rapes all the women and then falls asleep, and Pirithous kills him. And that's why the karmic astrological meaning is quite nasty. Immoral dishonesty, the wish or ability to disregard consequences, drunken stupors, issues of crime and punishment. This is what it is linked to. And its motto is, I don't care for anyone or anything. I want to fulfill my desires. That's exactly. So both Albion and Aphidas are very prominent in this space-time moment. And so are two big stars as well. Vasat is on Venus, and Zuben Shamali is on the Venus-Vesta conjunction, which is trining Venus. And these are the two fixed stars. Vasat is Delta Gemini, the actually the elbow of of Castor, probably. If you take a look at it, it's probably Castor. Anyhow, this is a world where we learn to make decisions and we learn to live with our decisions. It's a very prominent word when it comes to decisions, and this is exactly what's going to happen at the negotiation table. And Zuben el-Shamali, which is the northern scale of the celestial Libra, of course, is a place, according to Bernard Brady, where negative social reforms are forming. Now, I not quite agree with everything that BB says, although I honor her greatly. I think she's one of the greatest astrologers of our era, and she did enormous amount of work both in fixed stars and also in all kinds of other stuff, for instance, visual astrology, Babylonian visual astrology. But I don't consider fixed stars negative simply because they are not of the human existence, the human experience. They are out there in the universe. So they are higher dimensional worlds, and they describe certain things that are non-understandable from the human viewpoint. The two scales simply say that social reforms could act negatively and positively. And Shamali shows the negative issues, the negative ones. And of course, if there's a treaty which takes away parts of Ukraine, it will have negative consequences, but the war will have much greater negative consequences. And there's another interesting feature, and this is the karma breaker, Astrea. The current position for Australia is at the moment Sagittarius 10 degrees 04, a mere 3 minutes from Antares, the fixed star Antares, which is one of the pillars of the Milky Way and one of the royal stars of Persia, the Watcher of the West. It's also the star, heart of the Scorpio, the celestial Scorpio, and which is a very bright star. It's quite 1.2 magnitudes. It's a really bright star. And this is a star where the morphogenetic codes of the universe are being kept. And this is brilliant. I'm really, when I saw this, I was really happy about it because it simply means that there is hope for karma breaking. That maybe the fraction of the world power who wants us to have a permanent world war for at least 100 years, maybe they won't have the energy and the time to do it. And maybe there will be some sort of agreement. So that's the space-time moment for the Trump-Putin negotiations. Let's hope for for the sake of the world, even though I have a hunch that Europe doesn't really have a say in the matter because Europe is on the menu and not at the table. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.